Lesson 3, Unit 3, Selecting Project Indicators. One of the most important decisions in the monitoring and evaluation plan is the selection of project indicators. Indicators are qualitative or quantitative criteria used to check whether the proposed changes have occurred. Indicators are used to measure the efficiency and effectiveness of the project intervention. They are used to benchmark the performance of the project and will provide objective evidence that the project is on track of achieving its intended goal. Selecting the right indicators is a critical decision that can have significant consequences during the monitoring phase of the project. Here are some of the reasons why selecting the right indicators is critical for the success of the project. During the initial phases of the project, indicators define how the project intervention will be measured. They allow for opportunities to identify areas of improvements and take corrective measures to avoid serious problems, and they are the basis for which evaluators will be able to assess the impact of the project. An indicator is a variable whose value changes from the baseline level at the time the project started to a new value after the project and its activities have made their impact felt. Each indicator should be defined in precise and unambiguous terms that describe clearly and exactly what is being measured. Indicators should be measured over time until the end of the project, and they should provide with values that can track the changes that are happening as a result of the project intervention. An indicator is a measurement. It measures the value of the change in meaningful units that can be compared to past and future units. In the example chart, the red bars are our indicators at the baseline level for 8 communities. The green bars show the progress that is made in the project at a specific date. By comparing the data of the same indicator in different communities, it is easy to identify the locations where the project is making good progress and the areas that are having problems. That provides insightful information to the project manager to investigate and find out the causes for these variances. Ideally, the project will have enough time to evaluate and identify the causes for these changes and make the required corrections. There should be at least one indicator for each objective. The indicator should be clear and specific, and the change measured by the indicator should represent progress that the project aims to achieve. An indicator should be defined in precise and ambiguous terms and describe clearly and exactly what is being measured. For example, the use of words improve, increase, or decrease should not be used in indicators. An indicator should be neutral and objectively verifiable. When selecting and writing indicators, it is important not to confuse objectives with indicators. For example, 80% of school children at the community X training hand and washing techniques. The 80% shows an objective and not an indicator. The correct way to write an indicator is percentage of school children at community X trained in hand washing techniques. To measure progress, the monitor plan will include the desired target, in this case to train 80% of school children. Indicators are needed to monitor at all levels of the hierarchy of objectives identified in the logical framework. These levels include goals, outcomes, outputs, and activities. They are relevant to the way information is organized in the project log frame. For the first two levels, activities and outputs, the indicators will measure the efficiency of the project. That means ability to convert inputs into outputs within the specified budget and schedule. For the upper two levels, outcomes and impact, the indicators will measure effectiveness of the project or its ability to achieve the desired results. Impact indicators are indicators that measure the long-term impact to which the project contributes. These indicators will measure the actual change in a condition or identified problem, including changes in social, economic, health, and livelihood status of target communities. For example, in a water access and sanitation health project, it could be percentage of children under 36 months with diarrhea in the last 2 weeks. Impact indicators are usually measured after the project has ended and are collected during the summative or impact evaluations. Outcome indicators Are indicators that measure project outcomes. Outcomes are medium-term results of a project. They measure a specific change in a situation to be achieved before or after the end of the project. They are defined in terms of changes in attitudes, behaviors, knowledge, and skills. These type of indicators are sometimes called effect indicators. They describe target population responses to the project outputs. For example, in the case of a wash project, outcome indicators could be percentage of target households using minimum of 25 liters of safe water per day. Output indicators are those indicators that are used to measure the delivery of products or services, such as training, technical assistance, and infrastructure. They are the direct result of project activities for which the project is responsible. For example, percentage of households trained in safe practices to store and drink water. Activity indicators are those indicators that are used to measure project work. They track the number of activities planned, such as number of latrines or number of capacity events. For example, number of training sessions on safe hygiene and sanitation. Selecting indicators can be a complex and time-consuming task. The choice can make a significant difference if the wrong objective is measured or if it's measured in the wrong way. The data might be misleading and the quality of decisions could be affected. Here are some criteria to consider when selecting project indicators. Relevance. There is a clear relationship between the indicators and the project objective. Accuracy. The indicator measures what it means to measure. Measurable. The indicators should be capable of being assessed or measured if they are quantitative. Usefulness. The information provided by the indicator is useful to make decisions or improve the performance of the project. Feasibility. Data can be obtained with reasonable and affordable effort. Credibility. The indicator has been recommended and is being used by leading experts and organizations. Reliability. The indicator produces the same results or repeated attempts when used to measure objectives. Distinctiveness. The indicator lacks redundancy and does not measure something already captured under other indicators. When selecting indicators, either from previous projects or organizations, it's important to paint the full information of the indicator. This includes information such as the indicator phrase, which is a description of the indicator, the purpose of the indicator, the type of indicator, the unit of measure, how to collect and analyze the required data, and the frequency to collect the data.